The idea for All the President's Bankers came to me while I was writing a historical novel called Black Tuesday, which follows the events leading up to the crash of 1929 through the eyes of an immigrant girl who crosses paths with the bankers of the House of Morgan. The book contains a scene based on a real meeting of the period's most powerful bankers that took place on Black Thursday. With the markets in chaos, Thomas Lamont, acting head of the Morgan Bank while Jack Morgan was in Britain, summoned the leaders of the 5 other major banks, most of which were intricately linked to Morgan through social and business connections. Collectively, the Big Six, as they were dubbed, took less than half an hour to decide to pull their bank's money to save the markets and themselves from their own recklessness and fraudulent behavior. Fast forward to the financial crisis of 2008. The prelude to the global debacle was similar, as the chapters on the 1920s and 1930s reveal. The men and their instruments of financial destruction were different only in certain specifics, paralleling the complexity and technology of the times. More recently, though, it was the federal government and Federal Reserve that bailed out these top bankers in epic ways. Again, 6 main bankers steered the process. Most of them represented the corporate lineage of the bankers from that earlier meeting in October 1929. I became fascinated with their evolution. But the impact of those Big Six on America stretched back even further. These men also had ties to bankers from the late 1880s, especially J.P. Morgan, who expanded his fortune then. They participated in the Panic of 1907. They or their representatives met at Jekyll Island to create the Federal Reserve, which would back them in future panics, and they financed and profited from World War I. Between the crash of 1929 and 2008, these bankers reigned over America as monarchical rather than democratically elected leaders. Through the Great Depression, World War II, the establishment of the World Bank and IMF, the Cold War, and the financial and military expansion of the United States, Wall Street and the White House collaborated to shape national policy. To this day, elite bankers drive our financial systems, even if the men who rise to the top of their firms and dominate politics in any given period are largely interchangeable. The political and financial alliances between bankers and presidents and their cabinets defined, and continue to define, the policies and laws that drive the economy. My research shows that the revolving doors between public and private service weren't created in the 1980s, as many more recent works claim. They were always present,